Gary Johanson is the lead candidate for the Legislative Council for the South Australian Nationals. How are you, Gary?
Oh, really well, Ricky, and great to catch up again.
Yeah, good to have you on Flow. Now, you put out a press release just recently about concerns about vehicle inspection. They've got some serious problems down at Lonsdale. They're going to be shut for a bit longer there, and they've had issues at Regency Park as well. First of all, your thoughts on the hold-ups for vehicle inspection?
Well, look, the people that work in there, they are fantastic. They're salt of the earth. They really are helpful. I've bought a couple of cars from interstate in the last 3 years, and you go down there to have an ID check, which, should only take minutes in most cases. And I've had to wait up for, I'd say, 3 to 4 hours standing outside, no seats, no water, no food that you can buy, out in the sun. You're scared to leave because you have to wait your turn for them to do an inspection. The poor staff, they're so overworked. You can see the stress in their faces, and yet they're so kind when you're talking to them. It's just ridiculous that there are not more inspection stations around the metropolitan area to give motoring enthusiasts in particular a choice of where they go to have the inspection done.
So when you're saying from a Nationals Party's point of view, you'd like to alleviate the burden in these two sites and have more inspection opportunities, just in the suburbs or in regional areas as well?
Well, we need to look at everything because convenience is so important for people, and these matters are important matters because it's to do with people's safety. So, therefore, we cannot disregard the real reason why these things are done in the first place. So we don't want to change any of the legislation. We don't want to change anything at all other than giving people a choice to be able to go to other locations to have the inspections done.
Yeah, and in the comments that I saw yesterday, you were saying that you'd like some private certifiers to be dealt into the game as well. That would open up the opportunities outside of relying on Lonsdale and Regency Park.
Certainly. You've got your major motor vehicle dealerships, which have got modern premises, modern equipment, wonderfully trained staff. They're the ideal people to be doing these tests. They'd have to be licensed, of course, and the price would have to be fixed, so it's no dearer than if they went to the government establishments. People don't understand, too. They say, the costs might blow out or whatever, but all taxpayers are paying as part of the tax that they pay for the Regency Park and Lonsdale, whether they ever use the service or not. So, therefore, we could actually reduce costs overall if we were to phase it over to the private sector. It's not like a privatisation, but it's an efficiency and to give the motoring public options and choice for the first time.
All right, and I just wanted to check in with you. We spoke with Jeff Brock, MP, the member for Frome, yesterday. They had their sit-in in state parliament to try and protest that the Liberal Party wouldn't show up, largely to debate an issue that the National Party came out firing from the get-go in the state election campaign about the safety of voting at the state election. What is your policy about how voting should be conducted this time around?
Okay, I would call Labor and Liberal disgraceful in their acts over this. They put up a thing that's unworkable in their opinion, which is the phone voting, because that's not actually an approved system at the moment, whereas postal voting is. We put up weeks ago to Labor and Liberal, I actually hand-delivered a letter in the Parliament House about it, saying for the safety of the people of South Australia that it should be held, the next election, by postal vote only to protect them, because we've had verbal advice from health professionals that the volunteers at a polling booth would have to be wearing full PPE and be trained. The people in the polling booths, the workers, would have to have the same, and they tell me it's near on impossible to fully decontaminate the cardboard boxes that we vote in, let alone the pencils. They've bought 1 million of them to throw them out, so they said in the media the other day. It's a simple thing. Postal voting is approved. It can be used. All they needed was, to approve it through the Parliament that it'd be postal vote only this time to protect the people. This will be the biggest mass gathering of people in this state since the COVID come in. You can imagine that this could set the virus off like wildfire. Look what happened in Australia when the Spanish flu occurred. We overcome it. Everything was fine. They opened all the borders, got back to what they thought was normal life. second wave come in and wiped out thousands and thousands of people.
Well, in New South Wales, they conducted local government elections, which are in-person only, managed to get through those okay, and the Electoral Commission tell us they're going to try and promote and advance postal voting in larger numbers than ever before. Do you think that's not going to be adequate?
It won't. A friend of mine is going away on holidays, applied for a postal vote. They wouldn't give him a postal vote unless he said where he was going, because they said they would post the postal vote to him at that location. Well, he's on like a caravan thing. He could get held up. He could spend an extra day here or there. It's not feasible to do it that way. They should have just posted to his home address before he left. And you can see what's going to happen. You know, they could relax all the restrictions, saying, oh, it's suddenly over. Everyone thinks it's back to normal. Then all of a sudden it runs rampant. We can't afford that risk. For the safety of the people of South Australia, we should be saying to all politicians, get your act together, come on, work together, go to the postal system, and let's protect our people. We've spent 2 years trying to protect them, and then suddenly, because it's a vote, obviously Liberal and Labor think there is some disadvantage to them because they would have agreed to the postal vote otherwise, and they haven't.
Well, I gather you've got nothing to fear from a postal vote. It worked for you pretty well as Mayor of Port Adelaide.
Well, postal vote worked fine for local government. It's proven to work.
All right, Gary, thanks for your time today, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you again before the state election on 19 March. Thanks for your time.
Great pleasure. We'll keep them honest.